Today, we're doing a device review on C LEG 4 from Ottobock. C LEG is by far the most popular, most well-known microprocessor knee in the world. It was introduced to the market in 1997, and it came with a couple key features. Obviously, having a computer, the microprocessor, integrated in with the hydraulic working together to read body position and understanding when to stiffen up to catch yourself and different things like that. And then this is initially when default stance came into play for prosthetic world, and understanding default stance and the difference between default stance and default swing. That may be another video, but default stance really is what has given a lot of safety and stability to above knee amputees and has really revolutionized the market over the last 30 years. Because it's been on the market so long and Ottobock is invested in continuing its research into developing the knee and other products, but having that data to pull behind for insurance purposes and things like that. And just this knee has been proven to reduce falls in above knee amputees X amount. And so really because of those couple things, the longevity of how long it's been on the market, Ottobock's investment and everything, it is also the most studied knee that has ever existed and probably always will be, just because it has such a head start on everything else. It generally comes in around 2.7 pounds depending on the pylon that you select, and then is around 11.3 inches of build height, again depending on the pylon. It's IP68 water resistant, so that means it's splash proof, dust proof, all of those things. You can submerge it up to 10 feet for up to an hour, but that is really not recommended. That's more of like a worst case scenario emergency. You had to submerge it or it fell in the water, it is okay for that up to 10 feet depth for an hour, but really it's just a splash proof thing. It's not really necessarily fully waterproof. You don't want to go swimming with it and do things like that. C LEG 4 comes with a 2-day battery life, and it also has a deep sleep mode. So when you are at rest for a long time driving in the car, sitting on an airplane, things like that, it goes into a deep sleep mode to conserve battery life, which is a really nice feature. Going back to some of the default stance, it also has a stumble recovery. That C LEG was the first knee to have a stumble recovery feature in it as well, which is now pretty common across every microprocessor, whether it's default stance or default swing. It also has my favorite feature, intuitive stance. So that means that I wait the knee for 3 seconds and it locks, which is the best thing ever. It also has a manual lock that you can activate through the Connect Go Pro app. It's fully programmable through the Connect Go Pro app, so it's a lot easier to set up than it used to be getting out your C-Soft and the dongle and everything else. Now you can just pull out the app, go through a quick setup and make it really simple. C LEG 4 also has 4 programmable modes. Walking on C LEG, first off the bat, you can see I'm walking with no stance knee flexion to begin, just so that I can start to get comfortable on the knee. This is the first time that I'm really taking substantial steps on it, so I just want to, adjust a little bit. And now that I'm starting to feel more comfortable, you can see I'm getting a little bit of stance knee flexion and starting to be able to relax at my hip a little bit more, which is really, we're breaking a lot of these functions down a lot more on C LEG, because C LEG is the one that kind of introduced it to all of us. And so how to do that is important. So here you can see the flexion angle that I get, and then enough clearance as I swing through at my mid stance, feel comfortable and not really have to do any extra hip hiking walking on that tall grass. Now we're going up inclines, and so you can see that really I have to do a lot of hip hiking, and this is, if you've watched my videos, this is true on any microprocessor, of how I have to kind of cat-cow and push my butt out and then lift my hip up and then just really bring my prosthetic back up to my sound limb step length, and then I can ascend up the hill. Now we're going to move on to yielding, and I get a lot of questions about how to yield microprocessors and everything else, especially down inclines, and so we're going to break it down here in a little bit more detail than on a typical review. So as I'm starting to yield down this heel here, the first thing that you really want to pay attention to is getting the foot out in front of you and then landing it with a hard heel strike and keeping that knee locked out. I have no knee flexion, but also my weight is behind the knee center, and I'm preparing to kind of shift my weight down rather than forward. And so now as we're getting to that mid stance point and I'm starting to shift my load, you can really see that my center of gravity is far behind my knee center, and then my weight is coming down, and as I'm lifting my foot off the ground here, I'm starting to push the knee forward by my hip and the bottom of my residual limb. So I'm almost like forcing that knee to bend to some extent and riding the hydraulic the whole way. And so now as I transfer over to my other side, then, again, you just want to flick that thing out there as quick as you can so that you can see the foot. I really, for me, everything's a little bit visual, being able to see that it's out in front of me, and then really pushing back as I'm heel striking and, again, preparing to drop my weight and drop it down. And here we're going through that heel strike just a little bit more to show how I really want to get it out in front of me. So I lift it up a little bit higher sometimes just so that I know where it's at. And now we're on a little bit more of a shallow ramp, but I'm over exaggerating some just to show, again, on less of an incline, how I'm still yielding the same way. I'm getting the foot out in front of me fast. I'm keeping my weight center behind the knee, and I'm almost dropping my weight into the hydraulic and loading the hydraulic so that it will support me as I continue down the ramp and transfer back to my sound limb. On to stairs. C leg does not have a stair ascent function, and so here we're just going up one step at a time. Typically on knees like this I go up even two at a time, just to be efficient, but that's definitely probably not the smartest way to go about it for longevity. But here, yielding, we're doing the same mechanics of getting the foot out in front of me quick and then dropping my weight behind the knee center. But another key factor that is a little bit different here is that to yield down steps, you want to have your foot halfway off the stair. Here I'm even on it a little bit more, but now you can really see like my toes are fully off the edge of the stair, and that allows me to roll over and my knee to kind of collapse underneath me at the right point so that I can transfer over to the other side and the hydraulic isn't stiffening up to stop me from transferring over to my other side, going down that drastic height difference. And so again, same basic philosophy of keeping your weight behind the knee center and loading the hydraulic, dropping your weight down and riding through, but you just want to have that foot half on the stair so that the foot doesn't stop you and resist the knee from continuing to allow you to roll forward and over the stair onto the next one and transferring down. And then as you get more comfortable with the foot placement and everything else, you can start to do this at a more normal pace. And sitting, same type of thing. We're just going to have that foot really flat, but I want to shift my weight back behind the knee center, so I push my hips out just a bit, and then I start to sink my weight down. And so again, I'm loading that hydraulic. I'll slow it down just a little bit here so you can see I get the foot flat on the ground. I load the prosthetic. I could be loaded more, honestly, but now I'm starting to push my hips out so that the knee center shifts forward and my weight mass is behind the knee center, and then riding that hydraulic down. And then of course every hydraulic is going to drop you at the bottom there just a little bit, but that is basic yielding on C leg. So that's C leg 4 and some breakdowns on yielding and how to use this knee the way it was designed to be used. Obviously, I like this knee. Everybody likes this knee to some extent because it's the original. It's the first. And so, if you're an able-bodied person watching this and you've met an above-knee amputee out in the world, there's probably like a 75 to 85% chance that this is the device that they were wearing. And, most clinicians like fitting it too because it's easy, it's consistent, and it's reliable. Some pros of C leg 4 are that it has that history of being the original and having Ottobock, structure behind it. And so it really is going to be safe and reliable, and you know what you're going to get out of it every time, from the setup on the clinician end to the features that it has and how to use it on the user end. I also think I'm always going to mark a pro as intuitive stance. I love having a stance lock and being able to use that at any time, but not having to pull out an app or anything to get out of it. And then the deep sleep mode really is a big pro and an upgrade from earlier models that didn't have it, because it does allow you to extend that battery life just a little bit. Some cons, really, I'm getting a little nitpicky here, but it isn't quite as flashy as some newer knees that are in the same kind of category as it. Again, it only has 4 modes, but really, do you need more than 4 modes? I would prefer not to have any modes at all in a perfect world, and my leg just does all the things that I want it to do. And my main sticking point, probably my least favorite thing about this knee, which is a minor thing, but I hate it, is the color options. I don't like the color options. I just don't like them. They're not my favorite thing. So if that's something that matters to you, something to consider. This knee is for somebody that is really, a pretty active person in that mid to high K3, low K3 even. It's a safe, reliable knee, so you know what you're going to get out of it all the time. If all those other bells and whistles like stair ascent and being fully waterproof aren't as important to you, this knee is really what you're looking for, because it has all the history. It's been troubleshooted and fixed and repaired a billion times. When you're missing your lower limb and you don't know where you're stepping and you can't see it, you can't feel it, all of those things, it's nice to know that it's just going to be consistent and reliable underneath you. This is the king of microprocessors and probably always will be to some extent. It definitely has a lot of advantages and a lot of people really love wearing this knee. If you would like more information on Ottobock C LEG, check out their website. If you have more questions for me, put them in the comments. I'll get back to you. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Thank you.